Stand by. The program will begin soon.
There's an example yesterday I saw of this woman who's been here. I mean, we might even play this clip. She's been here 20 years. She has 3 kids who were born here. Her kids are because of birthright citizenship, which is another subject that's coming up. And she's never bothered to even try to resolve her immigration status. Not in 20 years. She has never tried to resolve her immigration status. Not through Republican presidents, not through Democratic presidents, nothing. And so now, she's worried about being deported because they put out the sob story of this woman. Well, that's not the average person they're even looking at right now. The average person they're looking at crossed in the last 3 years are... CNN is cutting jobs to embrace the digital future. No, they're cutting jobs because, as I like to say, they suck. CNN is undergoing a significant restructuring, planning to lay off about 200 employees, which constitutes approximately 6% of its workforce. This move is part of a broader strategy under CEO Mark Thompson to pivot towards a digital-first approach, focusing on expanding digital subscriptions and reducing costs from traditional TV operations. Wait a minute. Didn't they already try the CNN subscription service, which failed miserably? Which, if you truly have compassion for trans kids, you would allow them to all go through puberty, because 90% of kids who think they're trans change their mind once they go through puberty. That puberty is the fix for most of the problems. But you guys want the medicalization of kids and sterilization of kids and medical and surgical altering of kids who can't make that decision at 12 years old or 13 years old. Diablo asks, why is it when I try to show empathy and concern, people always misconstrue it? Last time I asked someone if their mom at least got a good check from the clinic that botched the abortion. Oh! Oh, God. Damn it, AD. I think you just need to find a gentle way.
Stand by. The program will begin soon.
I would be willing to bet everything I own that submitting a 22-minute video montage that shows the most egregious acts of violence you can find from that day, when the defendant in question is on that video for only 6 seconds and the scene walking calmly, is highly prejudicial and a violation of the defendant's due process rights. The person was found guilty and sentenced to 19 months in prison. Now, it took 2 hours to read through all of the documents that were in the case file. Every motion submitted by the defendant was denied. Every motion by the defendant was denied. How often does that happen? And every motion submitted by the government was granted. They turned a trespass misdemeanor that would have resulted in a $50 ticket into 5 misdemeanors and a felony charge by charging the defendant with a statute that would have required the Secret Service to rope off the section he was in, which they did not. They also charged him with a statute that would have required them to prove Mike Pence was in the building at the time he walked through that corridor. He was not. And they used an Enron statute that the Supreme Court struck down. You accept a pardon, you are admitting guilt. Period. That's the, because you can't be pardoned if you're not guilty.
Whether he can preemptive part, whether he can issue The president's reportedly asking his staff whether he can issue preemptive pardons for himself, his family members, Rudy Giuliani. There's a simple answer: no. No, Mr.
Oh,
that
you
would be a
can't?
gross abuse
Oh,
of the presidential
it's a
pardon authority.
gross abuse of presidential pardon authority. Well, there you go. You accepted a pardon, Adam Kinzinger. You think you may have committed a crime. Oh, here, Jamie Raskin. Dirty Q-tip. Dirty Q-tip, Jamie Raskin. What else? What did he have to say?
Well, the seeking of pardons is
Yes, it's only on
powerful
one side.
demonstration of the consciousness of guilt, or at least the consciousness that you may be in trouble.
Jamie
And that's
Raskin.
what's so shocking
Did he
about
get a pardon
this.
also? Wasn't he on
Well,
that committee?
The seeking of pardons is...
He was on that committee. I'm curious if you're going to condemn that part. You're going to condemn that pardon.
You know, Joe Biden pardoned a lot of people. Yeah, he should answer for that and explain.
Lots of murderers, lots of drug dealers, lots of people who killed people, commuted the sentence of a couple murderers. One who, in fact, one drug dealer who people died from taking the drugs that they sold them.
Stand by. The program will begin soon.
The Obama Aniston rumors have gone wild. Rumors have emerged on social media that suggest Barack and Michelle Obama might be heading towards divorce, with speculators linking Barack Obama to actress Jennifer Aniston. Those rumors have gained traction following Michelle Obama's absence from Jimmy Carter's funeral and the inauguration, and are based on tabloid stories and social media speculation without solid confirmation from the individuals involved. So far, they're still rumors, and I don't know why people are perpetuating them, but it is kind of fun to perpetuate rumors like that. No one's come out to, out and out deny anything. That's the weird part.
We should just take a deep breath and acknowledge the audacity.
The audacity!
Of a president who's so clearly concerned about his own criminal culpability.
Oh my God, his own criminal culpability and his son's business dealings. I know that they're talking about Joe Biden, aren't they?
And that of his family members.
Like the boy asked, are cats really soul suckers? Yes. Yes. That's why I'm not into cats. Dogs, man. I'm a dog guy. Have got to say, is there an aisle in the grocery store that is less objectionable to have sex in? Where do you come up with this shit? Dude.
Has done something no person in the world has ever done before. A dead man, a dead politician has risen.
Yes.
Somebody who 4 years ago at Davos, he's buried, a dead.
And I wonder how many people at Davos have been funding Donald Trump's demise. That has failed. I wonder how many people at Davos, again, let me say it again. I wonder how many people at Davos have been funding what they had hoped would be Trump's demise. I bet you there's a few of them there. And it didn't work, did it now? Didn't work now, did it?
Politically known to me. He's now returned. This is the greatest comeback in political history of a politician. And then, therefore, he thinks he can do anything.
End of the show, every day on my show, if I put something on the screen or I'm talking about it, or it's a topic or an article that I'm presenting in this show, I provide links to every single thing that I've talked about, and even more, the ones I didn't even get to. I drop them in the chat at the end of the show, and also I drop them in the description. So if you want to find these articles, they will be in the links at the end of the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only Dawg Knight.
Yeah, this is a test of my new Wi-Fi in the house temporarily. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I am your host, Marty, also known as Dawg Knight on the internet. Welcome back to the Dawg Knight Channel, where a dish best served cold. Oh my gosh, the irony. But this is something that if you watch this show any length of time, you probably already knew about what's happening with Tish James. But now there's been a referral. We'll get to that. That is the chef's kiss of the day. Although there's lots of other news we'll get to and stuff. So, are there really only 10 people here? What the hell? Maybe because I didn't give everyone a ton of notice today. But anyway, I am happy that you are here. If you are here, those of you who are. And so we're just I'll kill some time if I have to. What I forgot to do also, I forgot to do the holiday of the day and the celebrity birthday. So let's give some people time to get in here. Let's see, holiday calendar. There, we'll just put the whole thing up there today because there's probably some good ones. I'm sure there always are. And, oh, good Lord. Selena Day. I'm just looking at a couple that are at the top of this list. And let's see, today's celebrity birthday. I don't have one of those. So let's see. Celebrity birthday. Oh, what is that? Oh, never mind. By the way, people are thinking that AOC might run for president in 2028. Please do. Please, pretty please. Oh, yes. There's all kinds of stuff going on. Let's see. Celebrity. How do you spell celebrity? Celebrity birthday. What's today's day? April 16th. Let's see if there's any good ones here. I'm just getting ready for the show. John Cryer. Yeah. Annie Taylor. No, don't care. Ellen Barkin. No. Any good ones? Okay, here's the list. Here's the list of today's celebrity. I'm just going to do it. I'm not even going to show you these. Anya Taylor. She's that kind of fish-eyed chick. I don't know why the fish-eyed chicks are getting a lot of movie roles, but she gets that. You know what I mean? The eyes are a little wider than most people's. I don't know why I told you that. Ellen Barkin, Chance the Rapper, Akon, Martin Lawrence, John Cryer, Bill Belichick, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Hey, there's a good one. Kareem legend. Bobby Vinton. Oh, I didn't even know he was still alive. Wilbur Wright, maybe Bobby Vinton isn't still alive. Ellen Barkin, Wilbur Wright. Charlie Chaplin was today. Selena, the singer. Oh, that's why it's Selena Day. Henry Mancini, the great composer. Jerry Rafferty, Dusty Springfield, Robert Stigwood. And Eric Adams. Edie Adams, whoever that is. Oh, there's a bunch of other ones. What? It is Ducky's birthday. John Cryer. In fact, here, I'll just put this on the screen now that I've done this. Here's, John Cryer. He's gotten all political lately, though. I really just wish celebrities would not that they aren't allowed to have political opinions. I'm fine if they do. I just don't need to be lectured to by, some people who probably didn't even finish high school. But they got their break in acting, which is great. I wish I would have loved to have gotten my break in acting, but I never did. So I guess I'm just jealous, so fuck them all. Anyway, how's everyone doing today? It is the 16th of April, 2025 on the Morning Night Live Hump Day. And, I hope you're having a wonderful morning. Mine is adequate. This is about how I would describe it. Thanks to let's say hi and thank people who are getting the show on the road, and we'll get to that. First in chat today, Mr. Avocados Diabli gets the bell. Welcome, sir. Also, good morning, Kara Soldier. JB's in the house. Tyre. Alexander the Scourge is here. Good morning, Attack Alpaca. Reaction Puerto Rico. You lovely island of tropical breezes. My wife wants to go to Puerto Rico. Carlos, I got to talk to you about that. Should we go to Puerto Rico? I don't know. Also, good morning, Anonymity, T2, I'll be back. Green Badger Outdoors. Lord Stanhope's in the house. Amazing Disgrace is in the house, too. Don't tempt fate, John Oliver is still regretting begging Trump to run. Oh, yeah, I'm not begging her to run. I just think it'd be kind of humorous. And also, Cashapp, what up, Kirsten? Also, thanks to everyone who has tweeted out the show. Now, I'm getting notifications left and right, so that means people are doing it and giving me a let's go. First of all, people who tweeted the show so far, Cashapp, Kirsten, and Tyler Alexander, and Amazing Disgrace, and Tyler. Is that Tyler F? Yeah, Tyler F. And Reaction Puerto Rico. And also we got the requisite Ric Flair woo in the house. Thank you, Tyler Alexander. And also let's go. Oh, yeah. What the hell? I think he did that on purpose because it looked like he's going to stick the landing. It looks scary at first, but then I see him actually doing a nice little flip there. It looks like he's going to land on his feet. That's good. Little James Brown. Hi! Get him to Jesus. Get himself. Hey. James Brown. And JB with the that was nasty. What the hell was that? Oh, yeah, that hurt. And then Reaction Puerto Rico with the nice helicopter ride. Yeah. Which we don't want to give people helicopter rides. Let's not do that. So anyway, I hope you, like I said, I hope you everyone. Anyone else pop in yet? Anyone else here? Hot tub. Hey! Too hot in the hot tub. Hey! Yes. Us old folks know what that means. If you're not sure what I was doing there, look up James Brown Celebrity Hot Tub. That will get you to what Avocado Staffler is talking about there with the hot tub. Hot tub. Oh, that was Airwolf? Oh, okay. I never really watched that show. I wish I would have. It seemed like a lot of people like that show. I got to check. Let's see. What's this DM here? Got a DM from Reaction Puerto Rico. What do you got here? Oh, about Senator Van Hollen. Yeah, that's definitely on the list today. We'll do a separate. Wait, what the hell? There we go. We'll put that in the list over here because you make a good point. Where's my El Salvador section? There's a lot going on today. There's a lot going on every day, but I got to be honest with you. Some of these Democrats. Look, I understand the concern for Mr. Garcia's, if there's due process, civil rights, whatever, and I have questions about that too. But I also question what Democrats are about to do. So we'll get to it. We'll get into it. Anyone else here? We got now we got 15 people, 10 likes. The like ratio is fantastic. Eddie was king back in the day. Yeah, that was Eddie Murphy doing the Celebrity Hot Tub with of James Brown Celebrity Hot Tub. Funny skit on Saturday Night Live. It's funny. I always say back when Saturday Night Live was funny, but the more I look at it, Saturday Night Live was super innovative with the original cast, not ready for primetime players. So there's a little bit of shock value to the type of humor, but they came up with a lot of things that weren't just political. And I think they're starting to get back to that a little bit now, or at least balancing out the politics stuff and finding the funny stuff in both the left and the right things. But everyone who talks about Saturday Night Live with nostalgia usually talks about it with their favorite cast or the time that they were watching it. There was always some funny things on Saturday Night Live. But on the other hand, it was always pretty bad too. It wasn't, but yeah, those first couple casts were very good. And there's the great stars that came out of those casts. That first cast, everyone became a star because it was such a novel thing. And and then just certain cast members, broke out in different ways and generally became pretty good actors in movies and things. SNL used to be more irreverent, and that made it funny even when it wasn't good. Yeah, that's exactly right. It was very irreverent, very outside the box, funny, and so anyway, but James Brown's Celebrity Hot Tub, Eddie Murphy had a couple of great characters. That was one of them, and also Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood, which I don't even know if he could get away with doing now, because some people would be mad about Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood. But anyway, good morning. Number one is in the house. Nice to have you. All right, so there we go. That's the introductions. Let's get to the show. Of course, we start out with the holiday calendar today. What are the great holidays that we should be celebrating today? Well, one is Selena Day. Apparently, we celebrate Selena and her music and movies. Well, she wasn't even in any. Was she in any movies? I thought because didn't she die? She was a queen of Tejano music. But yeah, she had that one good song in English, but she was killing it in Latin America with her, with whatever that type of music, samba, salsa, I don't know, whatever it is. She was huge and just started to make a break in the United States when her manager or someone killed her? I don't know. It was crazy. She was played by J-Lo in a movie. Yeah, but she was huge in Mexico and whatever. Also, it's National Banana Day, ladies. No, that's not right. Just stop it, Marty. That's terrible. National Orchid Day. It's National Librarian Day. How many damn days do the librarians get? Didn't we just have 2 different librarian things last week? Holy shit. Wear pajamas to work day. Yeah, that ain't well, I could wear pajamas to work if I considered this work. I mean, I could sleep in this t-shirt, National Eggs Benedict Day. Why? Holy Wednesday, that's part of Holy Week. Save the Elephant Day. Excuse me. Day of the Mushroom. Oh, not those mushrooms, like actual mushrooms for cooking. National Joseph Day. If your name is Joseph, today's your day. National Cash Day. Oh, also, I have a nephew named Cash, so it's National Cash Day. I should say Happy National Cash Day. And also National Angel Day, calling all angels. Okay, why do they have these every name has a day or something? Youth Homelessness Matters Day. Oh, man. Donate to your favorite shelter today. Teach your daughter to volunteer today. Okay, now, this one's stupid. World Semicolon Day. What? Why? What? On World Semicolon Day, let's raise awareness about mental health and the power of hope. Don't give up your... Okay, that's about... I guess a semicolon is a symbol of mental health. I don't know. Send me an angel. Send me an angel right now. You got me in that song in my head, AD. There you go. Foursquare Day. What? And birth of Jose San Diego, the Puerto Rican patriot, Jose San Diego, and National Bean Counter Day. So there you go. Those are the special holidays. And then we already mentioned the celebrity birthdays. So, all right. Let's get into some trending things. And I mentioned AOC earlier, and this was in the trending topics today. AOC's record fundraising fuels 2028 presidential speculation. Do you think that's why she and Bernie are out on tour, on their oligarchy tour that, Bernie says every year? Oligarchy. Since 1996, Bernie Sanders has been screaming oligarchy. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has demonstrated significant fundraising prowess, raising $9.6 million in the first quarter of 2025. This financial success has fueled speculation about her potential candidacy for the 2028 Democratic presidential nomination. I'm still saying please. Hello, Special Can Acid. What's up? On the on the list of honorable mention favorite Canadians. Recent polls indicate she is currently polling at 21% in the Democratic primaries behind Kamala Harris. Despite this, political commentators and her supporters on social media are actively discussing her prospects, although there has been no official confirmation from AOC herself regarding a presidential bid. Yeah. And look, leading to this speculation is this kind of crap on This Is CNN. So here, listen to this.
It's Donald Trump. Well, what happens the next 4 years from now when a Democrat is in office? What happens when President Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez decides to use these same powers that the president has now expanded by simply just pretending not to pay attention to the rulings of the court? It is true.
So, President Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Look, and by the way, there's a point he made there that I don't necessarily disagree with. I don't like the expanding the power of the president too much. But let's just say that there's been presidential power creep for a long time now, and expand the power of the president. I'm very skeptical of that. I'd like the power of the government to be lessened completely. And look, here's the one thing that he's doing that sort of does that if he does it effectively, and it's a tough road right now. But he's getting rid of departments that are under the executive branch. And so maybe that's the good thing. So it's hard to say if it's, Anyway, wow, AOC House member who isn't in leadership and has a safe seat raised $9.6 million in the first quarter of 2025. Huge. And here's this poll they're talking about. From political polls, I don't know who this is, nonpartisan group, whatever, has Harris in the lead right now for the 2028 primary. Again, no one's even said they're running yet, but it's interesting. Harris at 28%, AOC at 21%, Buttigieg 14%, Newsom 6%, Shapiro 5%, Kelly 4%, Pritzker, prick. I should just start calling him Prickster because he's a prick. 3%, and Mark Cuban. Is Stephen A. Smith in there? No, but Whitler and Bashir are, so a couple governors. So there you go. And who runs the world? Girls. Yeah. Good luck with that. Anyway, so that's fascinating. Let's move on here. Also in the news. Happy Hump Day, by the way. I'll leave this there. I'm not going to scroll down because I know that somewhere in the next couple ones there's some buttocks, so I'm not going to scroll down this. But I did save a couple favorite Hump Day tweets of the day. I'll just call them tweets. Hello, Hoko Sports. What's up? This one, happy Wednesday. It's Hump Day. I thought that was cute. A nice little cartoon camel. And then we also got this one. Now, this was, I like this. A fact of life. After Monday and Tuesday, even the calendar says WTF. That's cute. Moving on. Also trending. Oh, this is the trending topics. I'll get rid of this. Was that supposed to be something else? What did I do there? Did I accidentally? No, I didn't. We can close this window. U.S. diplomats are headed to Paris for talks about Ukraine. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and President Donald Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff are scheduled to visit Paris later this week for discussions on international issues, including Ukraine, Iran, and trade. The meeting will involve French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot and President Emmanuel Macron. The agenda includes exploring possibilities for peace in Ukraine following recent high-level talks with Russia's leadership. And so Rubio, again, and Witkoff are going to be heading to Ukraine soon. Interesting. The question is, will they dare go to Kyiv? Who knows? But they're also going to discuss probably Gaza and other stuff. And so there you go. So that's in the news. Also, let's see, what's this one? Oh, Blue Origin. Did y'all see the ladies go up in the big penis? People were talking about that the last couple of days, and I was like, why? What? They went, who, what? They landed and touched out. So apparently this was a big deal and I didn't talk about it. But I noticed something here. Someone says, not to burst anyone's bubble, but Sunita Williams set records on her 3 flights to the International Space Station and was stranded in space by the last administration. The cosplay women today did something for 10 minutes and it was not impressive because someone said, oh, welcome to West Texas, this crew. And I know we showed this picture. I like, you know, is this some girl power shit? Like they weren't, I don't know if they were even flying the craft. It just went up. Well, a couple of them were actually astronauts. But like Jeff Bezos sent his plastic chick up there, you know, that chick he's dating now. And I don't even know why they call him the crew, but here's someone says, Bravo Blue Origin, the NS-31 crew looked amazing. So inspiring to see these space pioneers take to the skies. They were up there 10 minutes. I'm curious for your next mission. Could we see a crew full of cosmic geeks? Oh, funny. Imagine the stories, the passion, and the creative energy they bring to the stars. What do you think? Someone here says, nothing beats telling others to travel less while blasting billions of tons of unnecessary harmful emissions into the Earth's atmosphere so a bunch of women can cosplay as astronauts. Oh, snap. What a slap into the face to the real female astronauts who study and train hard to get into space. Well, you know, Jeff Bezos got a lot of money to burn, and he burned a shit ton of it with this blast. I don't even know if it's not even like they're testing these rockets. I mean, they know, I don't even understand it. So anyway, here's, what? Your move, SpaceX. Your move, Elon Musk. Okay, they want to put a hot chick in there. So anyway, they said it was like Katy Perry and what's Oprah Winfrey's best friend, and there was a couple astronauts and Jeff Bezos' side hoe, whatever, the plastic lady. So anyway, a lot of people talking about it, and good for them. They got to go into space for 10 minutes. The funny thing, though, is, let me see if there's and they keep showing these pictures. Some people are saying that this might have been faked, but I don't think it was fake because there's video from them up in the sky. Well, I don't know. You just never know. But, yeah. I love this, though. Bezos, we thought we wouldn't notice, but we did. Yeah, it looks like a giant vibrator. It does. And so how appropriate. Just send some ladies up there. I wanted to show you, there was some audio of the landing, though, and I don't know if this was actual audio of the landing. But there's a bunch of pictures of them when they're floating around in space. I don't know. Where's the audio of the landing? I got to be careful scrolling so fast because I don't know what's going to show up here. I've seen enough. Totally defund Blue Origin. And yeah, Katy Perry kissing the ground. I can't find the landing one, though. There's one where they're landing and they're all screaming or whatever. Is this it? Here. Now, I don't know if this is actual audio. Here's a much more important and interesting video of the Blue Origin launch. Nobody cares about the space bimbos. This, though, is awesome. So this is this the landing? Here it is. Oh no, that's not it. That's one of Elon Musk's rockets. Never mind. I don't know. It was right at the top. Well, whatever. Oh, and then they were reflecting on the journey. How long is this? Let's see what Gail King, that's her name. Here, let's see what this is.
What do you think when people say, oh, it's frivolous? Number one, they call it a ride, which I find very irritating because they never say men went for a ride.
They weren't, bullshit. If there were just celebrities going up in the thing, you weren't flying the damn thing. It is just, you went for a ride in a rocket ship.
What do you say to people who think that this was frivolous or just a ride? You know, I think the message that it sends is very, very powerful. And the people that say that, by the way, weren't there.
How?
What do you think when people...
Oh, my God. It's just a ride. It's just a ride. Blue Origin's all-female spaceflight led by Katy Perry and Jeff Bezos' girlfriend. If there was a curb in space, I bet they hit it. Oh, my gosh. Anyway... Oh, Jeff Bezos plays face plants while trying to open the Blue Origin capsule with his fiancée, Lauren Sanchez, inside. Yeah. Anyway, I can't find it. I'm done looking for it. If you find the video of them coming down with the parachutes and stuff, I'm having a hard time believing this now. Good morning, Shrapnel. What's up? They sent 6 Savage broads this week. No, 2 of them were actual astronauts, but the rest were just a bunch of celebrities or whatever. And it just seems like a weird, frivolous thing. Okay, moving on. Apparently, Marjorie Taylor Greene had a town hall in some town in Georgia, and some guy ended up getting tased. Don't tase me, bro. During a town hall event hosted by Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene in Cobb County, Georgia, an altercation involving a protester led to the individual being tased by police. Don't tase me, bro. The event was intended to be a peaceful gathering, but escalated when a protester became unruly. Representative Greene later commended the police for their actions in maintaining order, while social media reactions varied, with some condemning the use of force used as excessive or inappropriate, and others supporting it as necessary. Now, I don't know if they need to tase people at these things, so let's just check out the video and see what happened here. First of all, for Marjorie Taylor Greene post, for anyone questioning or criticizing the police at my town hall last night, the great police officers conducted themselves in textbook fashion and protected every single person there by keeping the peace. These protesters were deranged and aggressive and lost control of themselves the second the town hall started, and the press knows it because it happened right in front of them. If this had been a Democrat town hall, the headlines on national news would have been things like deranged MAGA insurrectionist at Democrat town hall. But instead, they are, quote, man tased at Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene's town hall. We have tons of video footage that absolutely proves the protesters were unruly and fighting and resisting police. I 100% support our heroic police officers for the incredibly difficult job they do every single day. There has been few jobs that are as hard as theirs, not only on them, but their families as well. Police officers should make more money and have better pensions and deserves everyone's gratitude and respect. Blessed are the peacemakers because they will be called the sons of God. So I think she went a little far there, but you know what I mean. So here's one of the unruly protesters. I don't think this is the guy that got tased, but here we go. He's sitting there fighting with a police officer. Are you serious? You grabbing a police officer's neck?
No, I was trying to get you.
He's a cop, so he's going to take him out too.
I know.
Okay. Now, and I don't know what, you don't know how this started, but yeah, they don't need that shit going on. Now let's see. There's another one. Let's see this one here.
Are you really doing this? Stop. 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 Are you really doing this? Really?
This is the one that got tased?
Thank you.
The thing is, here's the thing. Let's say I'm at a town hall of any candidate. I don't care if it's Republican or Democrat, okay? And I get a little animated and I start yelling and whatever. And the police say, you got to go. Now, I'm not necessarily one of those people who always says you always comply. You can at least make your case. But once they decide they're going to put their hands on you to take you out because you're not cooperating, that's the time to cooperate, because it's not just going to be one. I mean, there's plenty of individuals that if they try to pull me somewhere, my big 280-pound self ain't going. But when it's the cops, there's probably 3 or 4 more around there that are going to make your journey a little more proceeding, whatever the word is. So I don't know. At some point, once you got 5 or 6 cops around you, just walk away. Then they don't have to twist your arms and throw you to the floor or trip you or whatever. So anyway, I don't understand that, but I don't know what actually happened at this event, and I don't know if they have one where the protester actually was tased. But there's, let's see, breaking. A protester was just tased at a town hall in Marjorie Taylor Greene. Is this the same guy? Oh, this is the other guy. So this is the other guy they took out. Yeah, this is the guy who had the cop by the neck. And I don't know if that's the same guy. Oh, this one. Okay. Okay, so they tased the brother. So I'm sure there's going to be, oh, this is racist. Well, at least it was the brother who tased the brother. Anyway, that's what happened. There you go. All right, moving on. Next. In the UK. Now, I don't know how the courts work in the UK. Like for example, if you say the Supreme Court in New York, the Supreme Court's just the regular court, and then there's the appeals court. So I'm not sure how it works in the UK. But the Supreme Court, the UK Supreme Court, has made a ruling that is going to upset a lot of people. A lot of people. And that's that. Let me show you here's the trending topic. UK Supreme Court upholds biological definition of woman in a landmark ruling. Uh-oh. Well, wait, I might be premature on that because they might, let's just read it. The UK Supreme Court has ruled that under the Equality Act of 2010, the legal definition of a woman is based on biological sex, not gender identity. Oh my God! The activists are going to be in so much pain. This decision, stemming from a legal challenge by 4 Women Scotland against Scottish ministries, clarifies that gender reassignment does not change one's legal sex for the purposes of the act. The ruling has significant implications for single-sex spaces, sports, legal frameworks, potentially affecting how these areas are regulated and accessed. Advocates for biological definitions of sex have celebrated this as a pivotal victory, urging for legislative changes to reflect the judicial stance. So there you go. That's finally someone. Court is making sense of this. Now, I wonder if this will happen here, too. Some people excited for this. Politics UK breaking the Supreme Court ruled that women is defined as biological sex under the Equality Act. And J.K. Rowling celebrating this, saying it took 3 extraordinary, tenacious Scottish women with an army behind them to get this case heard by the Supreme Court. And in winning, they've protected rights of women and girls across the UK. 4 Women Scotland, proud to, or it says, I'm so proud to know you. This has been long overdue, if you ask me. Trans women are not, this headline, trans women are not legally women, rules the UK Supreme Court. Ooh, man. LGB Alliance says we are delighted. They're the ones who don't want the T and the Q and all the other letters anymore because they're not the same thing. One is a sexual orientation, which I don't give a fuck what you do in your bedroom. The other is make believe, okay? Or this is this and this. They're not really the same. LGB Alliance says we are delighted that the UK Supreme Court has ruled unanimously. It was unanimous too. Yeah, good for them. Finally, women with some balls made a decision about this. Good. Yes. Reaction to Puerto Rico. That's funny. Ruled unanimously that sex and sexual orientation in the Equality Act are biological and not a matter of paperwork. A huge win, and we are so grateful for Women Scotland for fighting so many years to get here. So, and there they are celebrating, and a lot of people this is one place where a lot of people on the left and a lot of people on the right agree. We agree with our gay and lesbian brothers and sisters that you are not, just because you have something in your mind doesn't make it you so. If you think you're a putty tat, great, but I don't have to believe that you're a putty tat. So let's see. This is someone who came out of the courtroom who was part of this lawsuit. Let's see what she says. They're very happy, rightfully so. And this is not just a victory for lesbian women either, although
we were in a really difficult place in Scotland then. We thought we were going to see rights for women rolled back, and today the judges have said what we always believed to be the case, that women are protected by their biological sex, that sex is real, and that women can now feel safe, that services and spaces designated for women are for women, and we are enormously grateful to the Supreme Court for this ruling.
So this is kind of a bombshell for the UK, I got to tell you, because you know, the UK was where they started putting trans women in women's prisons and having all these spaces where they were, you know, you could have a hate crime for not agreeing that someone's a woman or whatever. Let's see, UK Supreme Court here rules that a woman in UK, let's see what this says here. This is a 1 minute 51 on the same topic. So anyway, yeah, this is big because now we're going to have to see if they start removing trans women from women's prisons over there. They stop at least some of their stupid hate speech laws that they have.
A woman to be interpreted as extending.
And again, this is a unanimous decision too, by the way, just a reminder.
To a trans woman with a gender recognition certificate. By that I mean a person born male who now possesses a gender recognition certificate amending her gender to female, and sex to be interpreted as including what I will refer to as certificated sex. The unanimous decision of this court is that the terms woman and sex in the Equality Act 2010 refer to a biological woman and biological sex. But we counsel against reading this judgment as a triumph of one or more groups in our society at the expense of another. It is not.
Yeah, you can.
As I shall explain later in this hand-down speech, the Equality Act 2010 gives transgender people protection not only against discrimination through the protected characteristic of gender reassignment, but also against direct discrimination, indirect discrimination, and harassment in substance in their acquired gender. This is the application of the principle of discrimination by association. Those statutory protections are available to transgender people whether or not they possess a gender recognition certificate.
Okay, that sounded like some equivocation there. So anyway, a lot of people are, this, I can't remember what, India Willoughby. According to the UK Supreme Court, India Willoughby is not a woman by law. Shama Nicole Sturgeon, Rachel Reeves, and Alex Dodds, and all the other female politicians who betrayed their own sex. Dress how you want, but do not change language and science. So I agree with that. There you go. All right, so that's big news in the UK. Moving on, let's see. SCOTUS is still trending, probably related to this case in El Salvador, or the guy that got sent to El Salvador. Apparently people are mad at Trey Gowdy. He was on Fox. Let's see how absolutely worthless Trey Gowdy is. He's on Fox just now arguing the communist position on the Maryland man, the illegal immigrant, illegal gang member, implying that the Trump administration is not complying with the SCOTUS order. So there's a big question of whether or not the Trump administration is complying, or whether they won that SCOTUS order on the, let's see, in the Oval Office, President Trump sat in silence as El Salvadoran President Bukele smeared Kilmar Prego Garcia as a terrorist. SCOTUS ordered his return. They didn't order his return. They said that the Trump administration should facilitate his return, but did not order his return. But instead, the Trump administration is defying the law. I bet she can't name the law, disappearing people and yielding to a fellow tyrant at the expense of a victim's family. You mean the democratically elected president of El Salvador? Anyway, someone says SCOTUS doesn't make laws, neither do pissant judges. Yawn. So anyway, this is the big topic in Washington right now about El Salvador. And apparently there's a bunch of Democrats who are about to travel to El Salvador to see if they can get this guy released, which is interesting because I don't recall any of the Democrats traveling to Gaza to see if we can get the American hostages released there. I digress. Very different situations, though. But anyway, Laura Loomer said the same thing. Incredible how Democrats traveled to El Salvador to demand the release of a member of MS-13, but they won't go to Gaza and demand Hamas release innocent American hostages. Democrats love criminals and terrorists. Speaks volumes, doesn't it? Okay, I'm not going to say that Democrats love criminals and terrorists. They just advocate for them sometimes. So here's Cory Booker, I guess, talking about his trip.
Do you think
trip to El
the
Salvador.
Trump administration is defying a court order?
Well, of course. Wait, you're on MSNBC talking to Cory Booker, a Democrat, or this is NBC. I Meet the Press. Gee, I wonder what his answer will be. I wonder. I have no idea I have no idea how Cory Booker is going to answer here. I'm on pins and needles waiting to hear his answer. Let's see if he thinks that Trump is. I'll just play it. Shut up, Marty.
It certainly appears that they are, and they're trying to play too cute with parsing words. The court has ordered the return of this person, and that the Trump administration.
They haven't ordered the return. They ordered the they said facilitate. They didn't order them to return it. And facilitate can be, interpret. Look, I'm pretty sure the court was saying, yeah, you should probably bring this guy back. But anyway, there's a lot of questions about the guy. We'll get to it.
Should do it. They're paying an authoritarian leader in El Salvador.
Authoritarian leader, a democratically elected president who's very popular in El Salvador. Authoritarian leader. Okay. I guess you can be elected and be authoritarian too, but still, Justin Trudeau.
Or to hold people in the worst imaginable types of prisons that he has sent there without any due process.
It's worst prisoners. It's rough on those gang members, man. And look, but it's the cleanest prison I've ever seen. It's spotless. It's amazing when they show pictures of this prison. It's clean as hell because they don't fuck around. Anyway.
And this isn't just about.
And I'm not a fan of prisons either, but
about Mr. Garcia. This is about every American understanding that this president is making an assault on the due process rights that are afforded to people in our country. Everybody from Anton Scalia, to other conservative think tanks have said very clearly,
due process
you cannot disappear people off American streets. We are a nation of rules, and due process is clearly one of them. And to erode the due process.
And they are using a very obscure 1798 law to do this. I have questions about it. I do. But it's like the reason that some people are happy about how the Trump administration is dealing with immigration as a whole is because we've had 4 years of a president who didn't do jack. And in fact, exacerbated the problem at every turn and began even flying people here who would have been illegal immigrants. It's insane. Anyway.
Rights of anyone is a threat to the due process rights of everyone. This is a democratic slippage, and we all should be speaking out against it.
Okay. So there's Cory Booker on this. Let's see. Oh, by the way, this is a mom who had a daughter killed by an illegal immigrant, and Senator Van Hollen from Maryland is going down to El Salvador first, and then they're also trying to get together a group of Democrats to go down, which, first of all, my suggestion to all of them is don't break the law while you're in El Salvador, because you might end up next to some of those gang members. But anyway, Rachel Morin's mom is slamming Senator Van Hollen, who's the biggest, who's made the most noise about going down there. In fact, he's heading on down there today. Hello, Bookworm Addict.
From Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Mayorkas, anyone here in Maryland, none of the senators did anything to help search for the murderer of my daughter.
What are your thoughts on your senator?
Okay, that's you get the idea. Now here, let's tax system. All right, so we're gonna move on.
Do you think the Trump administration is defying a court order?
Shut. There we go. Anyway, here's the story. Democrats rushing to El Salvador to help MS-13 gangster back to America. Now, I'm going to put MS-13 gangster in quotes. I know that at 2 different courts have stated that this man was MS-13. And also, when they had he's had 2 different deportation orders. One of the reasons that I guess the Biden administration gave him some leeway because he was in fear of gangs that where he was in El Salvador. That was his excuse. Well, those gangs don't exist anymore in El Salvador. So that could be a reason why you don't need that protection anymore. But then of course, he may have been a gang member himself. But anyway, so what happened? A group of Democrat lawmakers wants to travel to El Salvador to lobby for the release of Kilmar Albrego Garcia, an MS-13 gang member deported by the Justice Department. And see, the dispute is some of these Democrats, he's not an MS-13 member. Well, 2 different courts have acknowledged that he is, but we'll see. The stunt follows a White House visit involving President Donald Trump and President Nayib Bukele of El Salvador, where the press raised Garcia's case. The key quote was, "Of course I'm not going to do it," said President Bukele regarding returning Garcia, an El Salvadoran citizen, to the United States. Leading Democratic lawmakers, spearheaded by Senator Chris Van Hollen, a Democrat from Maryland, are prepared to visit El Salvador to advocate for the release of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, an MS-13 gang member deported to the Central American country, Secot super prison, by the Trump administration. During the White House visit, Salvadoran President Nayib Bukele declared that he would not send Garcia back to the U.S. Van Hollen has formally contacted El Salvador's ambassador in Washington requesting dialogue with President Bukele. The Maryland Democrat announced his intention to monitor Garcia's condition and negotiate for his release in El Salvador. I don't understand this. This is not a U.S. citizen. And it was inter-country illegal. I get it. He has a wife and a kid in the U.S., and I feel bad for them. But I don't get it. the hoops they're jumping through for this. I don't know how this plays out with most Americans. I think it's odd. And if there's, I guess maybe if I had stronger evidence that this guy was an MS-13 member, I wouldn't give a fuck at all, But I don't think this is playing how they think it is. I really don't. Democratic colleagues, including Representative Maxwell Frost and Representative Yasmin Ansari, have expressed readiness to join the potential delegation. The push to bring Garcia back stems from the Trump administration deporting him contrary to a 2019 immigration judge order prohibiting his return to El Salvador due to rival gang members presenting a threat to him. So that's the threat he was under, from rival gang members. So that would mean he's part of the gang, right? Does that sound logical? Contradicting media reports presenting Garcia as an innocent father, the courts also adjudicated that he was an illegal alien who failed to demonstrate that he was not a danger to the Americans at an immigration bond hearing. Additionally, the relevant ruling states that sufficient, quote unquote, was presented proving Garcia was a gang member, which he had failed to rebut. The Trump White House Deputy Chief of Staff Policy, Stephen Miller, contends that Garcia's deportation was in accordance with federal law. Quote, "Nobody was mistakenly deported anywhere. That's a big fact that most of you have gotten wrong," Miller told the press outside the White House on Monday. He added that the only mistake that was made is a lawyer put an incorrect line in a legal filing that since has been relieved. Garcia is El Salvadoran. He is an illegal alien. He was deported to El Salvador. While the courts have asked the Trump administration to facilitate Garcia's return, the fact that he is an El Salvadoran citizen in the custody of El Salvador puts him beyond U.S. jurisdiction. During Bukele's visit, the Salvadoran leader dismissed calls to return Garcia to the U.S., describing such expectations as preposterous He questioned how he could smuggle Garcia into America without violating the law, giving his status as a terrorist. And that's what got Nancy Pelosi's feathers riled up. So that's the background. And so Garcia is still trending. And people are showing these court orders where he said he was part of the gang. Here, someone named Jamestown puts lots of folks on X suggesting that he was never proven in court that Abreu Garcia was an MS-13 member. That is false. The Maryland man did have his due process in 2019 from 2 courts, and the Justice Department has repeatedly made this point. So they highlighted the relevant spots in those. Also, the wife of deported suspect gang terrorist Abreu Garcia either lied to the court when she petitioned for a domestic violence protective order against him, or she's lying now on the GoFundMe claiming that he is an excellent husband, as over $162,000 poured in. So she has a GoFundMe because her husband's gone. But again, this case, apparently there was a domestic violence issue in that case. So there you go. Real quick, thank you, Hoko Sports, for sponsoring the show. Greatly appreciate it. Dropping a deuce in the tip jar via YouTube Super Chats. It says, just more criminals self-deporting. Yeah. Well, yeah, there are a lot of people who are self-deporting because they're getting the warning letters and stuff. So anyway. And then let's see. Oh, by the way, thank you, Reaction Puerto Rico. This was, you said this to me earlier. Saying the Senator Van Hollen risking his life going to El Salvador, and we don't know if he'll make it out alive. Narrative by the Democrats is in full swing. Oh, if he's talking about the senator, yeah, a U.S. senator is afraid of going to one of the safest countries in the world while being provided security by the Department of State and the El Salvadoran military. Come on, man. Where is that?
Come on, man.
Yeah, that's silly. So I haven't heard that yet, but I'm sure it doesn't surprise me. Oh, he's going to go down there and it's so dangerous. He may not get out. El Salvador right now is, how about any Democrat who goes to El Salvador and violates the Logan Act in the process has to serve sentences in prison in El Salvador? Oh no, don't do that. Oh, that's funny. Let's see. Someone here, pursuing your own individual foreign policy is a violation of the Logan Act. The FBI should arrest this senator and the instant he returns to the country. Yeah, you know, we get that Logan Act stuff every time someone from the opposite party does something. Is this about this? Because I watched the little White House thing with Bukele and Trump the other day. And buffering? Is it buffering? Uh-oh. Do I need to plug back in? Are we all good now? Is it glitching for anyone else? I may have to go back to wired internet. I'm testing out my new wireless here. It says it's looked good. I just glitched a little bit. Okay, well, we'll plug back in for tomorrow. Okay. Anyway, as I'm thinking about these, so Bukele just came, sat in the Oval Office with the President of the United States, and they talked about this. And they talked to the press. And Bukele's like, yeah, why would I send him back? He's a citizen of El Salvador. By the way, hit the like button. We're only at 50%. That's not good. He's a citizen of El Salvador, and he was a gang member here, and why would we give him back? I can't imagine that the senator and these other 2 Congress people going down there and getting anywhere with Bukele. Bukele don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? So I can't imagine them getting anywhere with that strategy. So, and then the other thing trending about this is CCOT, the prison. And here is Representative Riley M. Moore. He's West Virginia's 2nd District Congressman. And he's been to the CCOT prison. And he posted this on X. Oops. He said, I just toured the CCOT prison in El Salvador. This maximum security facility houses the country's most brutal criminals, including murderers, rapists, pedophiles, and terrorists. Several inmates were extremely violent criminals recently deported from the U.S. I leave now even more determined to support President Trump's efforts to secure our homeland. So they're, if you've seen this prison, they're very strict. They don't play games. And again, they're all MS-13 members and gang members in here, and they don't care if they're rival gangs or not. They have overwhelming force among the guards is what they do, and they're very strict, and they don't get a lot of play around time. But then here is bring Garcia back with you. Help facilitate his release. What? You are really throwing yourself 100% behind an administration that wants to ignore the Constitution. You should be embarrassed. Someone here says American prisons need to follow this plan and get rid of the current club-style resorts they've become. Yeah, some of the prisons have. I mean, they, look, I'm torn as far as how American prisons should be. Sometimes I think they're overwrought, and sometimes I think they're too easy. It's like if they would separate criminals a little better into categories of violence, nonviolence, whatever, and also make sentences appropriate, and also use more helicopters for some of them. I'm not going to elaborate on that. All right, let's get to the big topic of the day, because the irony of what is happening to Leticia James is trending fairly high today, because apparently they busted. Now, we talked about this weeks ago because someone was talking about how Leticia James may have a little mortgage fraud problem because she's been doing things like claiming residence in a state where she does not live. She claimed that a 5-unit apartment, dwelling was to get better terms on a loan. And now the Justice Department, the U.S. Federal Housing Finance Agency Director Bill Pulte has referred New York Attorney General Leticia James to the DOJ for alleged mortgage fraud. So let's check out the letter that Bill Pulte put towards or wrote about Leticia James. U.S. Federal Housing, FHFA, Constitution Center, sent to the Honorable Pam Bondi, Attorney General, the Honorable Todd Blanche, and the Department of Justice. Dear Attorney General Bondi and hang on a second. Allergy time? Okay, well, maybe not. Dear Attorney General Bondi and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, pursuant to my authority as Director of the U.S. Federal Housing Finance Agency, I am referring the matter below as regulator of Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and the Federal Home Loan Banks. We take very seriously allegations of mortgage fraud and other criminal activities, such misconduct jeopardizes the safety and soundness of FHFA's regulated entities and the security and stability of the U.S. mortgage market. In the course of exercising U.S. federal housing authorities under the Federal Housing Enterprises Financial Safety and Soundness Act of 1992, U.S. Federal Housing has identified matters that are appropriate for referral to the U.S. Department of Justice for consideration of criminal prosecution. Based on media reports, Ms. Leticia James has in multiple instances falsified bank documents and property records to acquire government-backed assistance and loans and more favorable loan terms. Now, what's ironic is this is what she was accusing Donald Trump of in that case in New York State, where the mortgage companies did their due diligence and gave him loans. And so this worm has come back to bite her in the ass. Let's see. This has potentially included 1, falsifying residence status for a Norfolk, Virginia-based home in order to secure a lower mortgage rate. 2, misrepresenting property descriptions to meet stringent requirements for government-backed loans and government assistance. See, now the problem is she didn't do private loans. She got government loans, which puts this in the federal government's jurisdiction as far as the department, why it's being referred to the Department of Justice. And then they give you some background. On August 17, 2023, Ms. James granted Ms. Shamice Thompson Hairston power of attorney to make a Virginia property her principal residence. Now remember, this is the Attorney General of the state of New York. For something to be your principal, and I used to be a mortgage guy, so for something to be your principal residence, you must actively live in that principal residence for exactly 1/2 plus 1 day of the year. It cannot be your principal residence if you don't live in it for more than half the year. Okay. And on August 30th and 31st, 2023, through her attorney, Miss James purchased this property in Norfolk, Virginia. In a Fannie Mae Freddie Mac Form 3047 and in mortgage documents, she reaffirmed this would be her primary residence despite being a statewide public office holder in the state of New York. And at that same time, and primarily residing in the state of New York. See Exhibit B, which is somewhere else. Continuing, in fact, a building permit issued to her on her New York property on July 15, 2024, lists her New York property as the James residence and states remains occupied. Now, could it be that somebody else lived in her house? I don't know. Primary residence mortgages receive more favorable loan terms, including lower interest rates than secondary residence mortgages. Lenders view secondary residence mortgages as significantly riskier, as a borrower is more likely to continue paying off a primary residence mortgage during any financial hardship. Interest rates on secondary residence mortgages are typically 0.25 to 0.5% higher than their primary residence counterparts. However, this gap can widen depending on the lender. Now, here's my experience is that it can be more than that, actually. Probably 0.5% to 0.75% difference between a primary residence mortgage and a secondary residence. Also, if you are planning on using that as an income property, it can even be up to a full percentage point higher. So she was trying to call it her primary residence to get a lower rate. By the way, she also owns 3 other houses in Virginia. Here we go. Let's see. So, okay, at the time in 2023, Norfolk, Virginia property purchase and mortgage, Miss James was the sitting Attorney General of New York and is required by law to have her primary residence in the state of New York. So, did she think no one in Norfolk, Virginia would know who she was? Even though her mortgage application lists her intent to have the Norfolk, Virginia property as her primary home, it appears Miss James' property and mortgage-related misrepresentations may have continued to her recent 2023 Norfolk, Virginia property purchase in order to secure a lower interest rate and more favorable loan terms. So there you go. And then they go on to this other one. On January 26, 2001, certificate of occupancy. This is another property, 296 Lafayette Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. On January 6, 2001, certificate of occupancy lists this property as having 5 units. On February 14, 2001, Miss Leticia James purchased this 5-family dwelling. Ms. James secured a conforming loan through the Fannie Mae Freddie Mac Form 3033. Conforming loans are only available on 4-unit or less structures. So yes, a 5-unit home, you cannot get a conforming loan. That's the other part here. So she somehow got a conforming loan on a 5-unit property because why? Well, conforming loans are only available on 4-unit or less structures. Spanning the last 2 decades, Ms. James has consistently misrepresented the same property as only having 4 units in both building permit applications and numerous mortgage documents and applications. This even includes a 2011 application for the Home Affordable Modification Program, HAMP, and most recently a 2019 mortgage refinancing through a Fannie Mae Freddie Mac lender. Now, here's a problem that I would have here, though. Okay. Bondi announced a suit against Maine earlier this morning, too. Oh, I did not know that. I'll check that out. Here's I'm going to say the similar thing I said when she took Donald Trump to court for this. How is it that any lender who lended money on this property, especially this 4-unit property, the primary residence one, I can see where they could make that mistake. And that's her lying on the application. But I'm not sure how a lender did their due diligence on a 5-unit property and gave her a loan that's not eligible, a conforming loan that's only eligible for 4 units or less. That's part of the due diligence of the lender. But in this case, it's also fraud on her part. So anyway, conforming loans or Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac backed mortgages have favorable rates and terms to traditional and private market mortgages for the explicit purpose of availability to lower and middle income borrowers. Conforming single family loans are subject to a cap of 4 dwellings per property. The building that exceeds 4 units must be treated as a multifamily property and typically has larger down payment requirements and higher interest rate terms, with interest rates being between 3/4 and 1% higher. Due to lenders viewing multifamily loans as significantly riskier, additionally, the Government Home Assistance Modification Program, which was started in 2008 to provide homeowners at risk of foreclosure with reduced monthly mortgage payments, the recipients had to have properties with 4 dwellings or less. So anyway, so she's being referred to the Justice Department for something so similar that she tried to get Trump on. Lots of people here. This is Laura Ingraham, Angle exclusive. Bombshell criminal referral on New York Attorney General Trump prosecutor Leticia James from the Federal Housing Authority. Document contains serious claims of mortgage fraud and includes several pages of documented evidence. I don't know why she said documentary. So, yeah, this is the irony of ironies. Thank you, Avocados Diablos, putting a small blow in the tip jar. You are the new Streamlab Superstar sponsor of the day. Bondi announced a suit against Maine earlier this morning, too. Well, let's see if we can find that, because I'm flexible. I got to the main topic. Oh, wait, New York, let me finish this one, though. So here's the New York Post article on it. Trump administration refers New York Attorney General Leticia James for potential prosecution over alleged mortgage fraud. And you know what? from a former loan officer standpoint, this looks like fraud. But here's the other part, though. On that property in Brooklyn, the 5-unit property that they said was a 4-unit property. Here's another issue. The lender and or loan officer, the appraiser, anyone involved in those transactions probably broke the law. The lender was the government. When's the last time you saw the government do its due diligence? Well, that's not the issue. See, the lender is the government, but it's not, okay? The lender's not necessarily the government. The government guarantees the loan. But an individual lender actually writes the loan and funds the loan. The government doesn't do that. That's not how it works. Like FHA loans, it just means that it's guaranteed by the government. You can use other government criteria, and if there's a default, the government backs it up. Here's the problem for not just Leticia James, but whoever wrote the loans on that 5-unit property as a 4-unit property. Everybody lied on that one. Leticia James knew it was a 5-unit property. The appraiser probably knew it was a 5-unit property. And maybe the appraiser deceived the lender, the loan officer, lender, whatever that approved the loan, because clearly the underwriter didn't seem to know it was a 4-unit property. Otherwise, they would have never got the loan. If they knew it was a 5-unit property, that program does not apply. But Leticia James is not the only one in trouble on that particular transaction. So that's and the other part though is there's no way for her to play dumb either. She knew what this was for. And between her and a friendly loan officer and a friendly appraiser, they are in trouble if that's the case. So, let's see if there's anything new in this article. Let's see. Well, here's how they start the article. New York Attorney General Leticia James, who infamously declared that no one is above the law when she was targeting Donald Trump, was hit with a federal criminal referral for instances of alleged mortgage fraud on Tuesday, according to a letter obtained by the New York Post. Federal Housing Financing Agency Director William Pulte sent a missive to Attorney General Pam Bondi and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, alleging that James had falsified records to get home loans for property in Virginia that she claimed was her principal residence in 2023 while still serving as New York State prosecutor. So we read the letter, so I don't need to go through this. You get the deal. But also that 5-unit property, that may be, the primary residence one, federal home loan, federal jurisdiction. The 5-unit property in Brooklyn, federal loan, federal jurisdiction. Letitia's in trouble. All right, let's see what you said. Pam Bondi announced a suit in Maine, so let's find that. Bondi, Pam Bondi, Bondi, Maine. Let's try that. See if that'll do it. Breaking. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Breaking news from this morning. Flanked by Laura Libby, Pam Bondi announces the Department of Justice has launched a civil lawsuit against the Maine Department of Education for failing to follow Title IX. Okay, let's see what this is about. Oh, is this regarding sports?
Department of Justice is announcing a civil lawsuit against the Maine Department of Education.
Got it.
The state of Maine is discriminating against women by failing to protect women in women's sports. Pretty basic stuff. This is a violation of Title IX. The Department of Justice will not sit by when women are discriminated against in sports. This is about sports. This is also about these young women's personal safety. I've met many of these women throughout the past weeks and months, and what they have been through is horrific. Today, the department...
Okay, so, and notice who's on her, to her right, our left, Riley Gaines is there. Is probably pretty happy about this. So let's see if there's an article yet. Maine high school athlete Zoe Hutchins and Cassidy Carlisle, not pictured, are also at the presser. Someone saying not a priority, Pam. Why not? Are you saying women's rights are not a priority? This one says, this is a priority. Eventually, our cowards sitting on the SCOTUS will be forced to define a woman and a man like they did in Scotland or the UK. AG Bondi wasn't her normal articulate self because this issue has so angered her that it bubbles over. This is the AG being human, responding like a human who's been offended and won't take it anymore. Is there any more of this? New AG announced lawsuit against Maine. So there you go. That is the breaking news this morning. Thank you, Avocado Diabli. Appreciate that. I'll leave that. Let's see. Doesn't look like anyone's written any articles yet. Here's a full clip. Hang on a second. Attorney General Pam. Let's watch the full clip. I got some time. Let's see if there's anything that jumps out at us here.
Today, the Department of Justice is going to protect women in women's sports. Pretty basic stuff. Personal safety.
Okay, this is where we left off.
I've met many of these women throughout the past weeks and months, and what they have been through is horrific. We have exhausted every other remedy. We tried to get Maine to comply. We don't like standing up here and filing lawsuits. We want to get states to comply with us. That's what this is about. We have repeatedly notified Maine of its infractions and urged them to remedy the situation to protect women. We've stripped grants from Maine through other departments, And we are going to continue to fight for women. Let me give you some examples. Let me give you a timeline.
Right.
This
All right,
timeline,
let's
I
hear
think,
this.
is pretty important. So in February 2024, these are just a few examples. A biological boy started competing in women's ski races and cross-country races in Maine. He came in first in the 5K with a time that would have been 43rd among men. In February 2025, a biological boy won first place in the pole vaulting.
Okay, I'm gonna stop for a second. I don't care what place they ended up in. I don't care what place. If they displaced one female in any sport, it's not fair. Now, is this the most important thing happening in the world today? Maybe not. But is it a question of fairness? And if you're going to have Title IX, you know, making sure that they have protection for women in different areas of education and sports or whatever, then you need to enforce Title IX. And for whatever reason, these states don't want to do that.
Competition in Maine's indoor track and field meet. He beat every other girl by a significant margin. That qualified him for regional championships. That took a spot away from a young woman in women's sports. Shame on him.
If she's,
February 21st.
Okay. If she's just running through examples, I'm going to see here. I'm going to skip ahead.
This is from the Maine Attorney General.
Okay, let's see.
I want to read you this letter.
She's obviously
this is
angry.
From the Maine Attorney General to the Department of Education. We will not sign the resolution agreement. We do not have revisions or a counterproposal. We agree we are at an impasse. Nothing in Title IX or its implementing regulations prohibits schools from allowing transgender girls and women to participate on girls and women's sports teams. Well, they must not be reading the same Title IX.
Okay, hang on a second. I'm not going to play any more of this, but this may end up, obviously this is going to end up in court. And will our Supreme Court have the same guts to do what the UK Supreme Court did? Because I think that's where this is going. And it's got to be to a point where the United States Supreme Court needs to say, when this Title IX was written, this had nothing to do with perceived genders. It had specifically to do with sex. And while you cannot discriminate against people because of their perceived genders in some things, Title IX is about sex. So we'll see. I don't think it'll be a 5-4 on this one. I could see an 8-1, except for Ketanji Brown Jackson, who doesn't know the definition of a woman. But whatever. This is going to force a definition of what a woman is for these purposes, and I have a feeling that this is the case that will do it. If especially going against, the Department of Justice doing a civil case against a state over this. So that's fascinating. All right. Let's see. I had a couple other things open. We'll move on. Apparently, just a couple odds and ends. Apparently a DA, a Soros-backed DA, I'm sorry, a Voldemort-backed DA, made some comments about punching Trump. Pennsylvania GOP is asking the Justice Department to investigate Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Kasner. Leftist Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Kasner could be in trouble after he suggested last month that President Trump and his supporters should be punched in the face as hard as possible. The Republican Party of Pennsylvania told the Daily Wire on Monday that it asked the Justice Department to investigate Krasner over the March suggestion that Trump and his supporters were fascists who needed to be punched. Kasner, a George Soros-backed back district attorney who implements lax on crime policies, is running for a third term as Philadelphia's top prosecutor. And then they had violence and threats are never acceptable, blah, 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 blah. So that'll be interesting to see if that goes anywhere. American Greatness. Oh, by the way, so we talked about the arsonist of the Pennsylvania governor's mansion. Josh Shapiro was in the house with his family, and the guy came in with a Molotov cocktails, set the house fire, whatever. And a fascinating theme has developed among America's media, where many people in America's media have been describing him as a man who was disgruntled with Democrats or disgruntled with Joe Biden. Fired a Pennsylvania governor's mansion over the weekend, was identified as a registered socialist and supported the Black Lives Matter movement on social media. Cody Balmer, 38, is facing attempted murder and arson charges after setting a blaze inside the mansion while the governor and his family slept early Sunday morning. Balmer also faces terrorism, aggravated arson, and aggravated assault charges. According to state police officials, Balmer scaled the fence surrounding the property and broke into the mansion by smashing a window with a hammer and at about 2 a.m. He immediately threw a Molotov cocktail into the room, sparking flames, according to the arrest affidavit. He then fled the mansion and jumped back over the fence. Shapiro and his family were reportedly in a different area of the residence when the fire was set and were able to evacuate safely without any injuries. Balmer was in the governor's mansion for only about 1 minute, police said. It was a very quick event. And adding that Balmer had a clear plan and was very methodical in his approach. So anyway, and then this just goes down and tells you about him. But it's so funny how some of the media was treating this, saying, "Oh yeah, this guy he had problem with Democrats. He didn't like Joe Biden," failing to mention that this guy was a fuck Trump guy too, and that he's far to the left of the Democrats. So if you want to get more details, you can read the rest of this article. They have a few examples. Also, now I know people are going to be mad about this too, and I have some thoughts on this too. Apparently, the family of Carmelo Anthony, the young man who stabbed Austin, I can't remember what Austin's last name is. The kid who stabbed the kid at the track meet. I don't know if this is a confirmed report. Maybe, maybe not. His legal defense fund apparently is going to be used for a new home and security for the for that family. They admit Metcalf. Thank you. Because apparently they're getting a lot of threats. Okay, the Give Send Go campaign set up for accused murderer Carmelo Anthony $1,000, a mind-boggling amount of cash that far surpasses the $350,000 raised for the family of the 17-year-old boy Anthony admitted to stabbing in the heart with a knife during a high school track meet. Now, that's not quite accurate. The Metcalf family has actually two. They have a Give, Send, Go and a GoFundMe that total over about $600,000. But so, I mean, I guess they're talking about just the Give, Send, Go campaigns, but the Metcalf family also has another fundraising platform. There's two fundraising platforms raising money for them, but I don't know that it's relevant only from a newsworthiness standpoint. And the fact that those people lost a son, I hope if people want to help them, I hope that more people help them. And if you know where those campaigns are, or just look for those campaigns and donate to that family. But the tens of thousands of donors who contributed to the fund for Anthony's legal defense might be surprised to learn the cash will go to pay for more than just his lawyer. According to this, Anthony's father disclosed in court this week that while some of the cash will be used for attorneys to fight the murder charges against his son, a good chunk of it will also be used to buy a new home and security for the family amid racist threats. And I don't think his family deserves to be harassed for this. He needs to go to court and face the music for what he did. I can imagine his family. You got to imagine this is hard on his family too. The Daily Mail reports Andrew Anthony said the fund was to be used for Anthony's legal defense, but he also disclosed that the cash would be used for security and to help the family move after threats they have allegedly faced since the killing. And I can believe they've faced threats. I believe that both families have probably faced threats. Honestly, the legal defense fund should go for legal purposes, though. The revelation comes after the spokesman for the family said they can't leave there after their address was leaked online. Not cool. Leading to graphic and racist threats, which include images of black children with knives stuck in their head. Anthony's attorney, Michael Howard, said regarding the money, it would be disingenuous to say there isn't money, but it's not a bond fund. The family needs to be able to survive. Anthony, who was originally held on a $1 million bond, was released earlier this week after a judge lowered his bond to $250,000. He would be confined to his home on an ankle monitor instead ahead of his next hearing. Anthony is claiming self-defense for why he stabbed and killed 17-year-old Austin Metcalf during a high school track meet over what witnesses said was a seating dispute after Anthony entered Metcalf's team's tent and allegedly refused to leave. The incident sparked a verbal altercation between the two and ultimately ended when Anthony pulled a knife from his backpack and stabbed Metcalf in the chest, leaving him to bleed out in the arms of his twin brother before help could arrive. Now, they kind of leave out, well, there's a lot more to the story, obviously. And I still contend that if they want to raise funds for a legal defense fund, fine. That's your right in the United States. That's your right in the United States of America. I don't know how I feel about that. If they're getting death threats and whatever and can't leave their home and they need to move, I suppose that needs money. Tyre says I'm going to need proof. Are we getting death threats and they turn out to be benign or self-reports? I don't know. And I don't know. I can imagine that they are getting death threats and is what it is. I hope that the other funds are being used for the legal expenses, and they're going to have significant legal expenses. And it's going to be interesting. Again, based on what I've read and listened to other lawyers talk about in Texas law, he's got some major problems trying to allege self-defense. The only thing that may be in his favor as far as not necessarily guilt, but sentencing, is that when the police caught up with him and he admitted to doing it, said it was self-defense, the thing that may help him as far as sentencing is that he did not intend to kill anyone. His words to the police officer is the kid okay? He showed concern for the kid. Doesn't help his case as far as assault with a deadly weapon, but it does at least may help him in sentencing as far as I'm concerned. But we'll see. We'll see. His legals, what do you mean his legal funds are being covered? What does that mean? His legal expenses are being covered by New Generation Action Network. That's what, yeah, I know that, but that was after the Give Send Go account was that was after the Give Send Go account was set up. That's recent. They changed, and so I don't know how that's working. I have no idea. He definitely intended to kill him when he put his hand on the knife in the bag and said, "Touch me and see what happens." You're saying he intended to kill him. How do you know that? Now he just thought he'd use a knife as a weapon. And look, it obviously did, and it's a stupid fucking thing to do, and he certainly should be charged with murder. I'm not even disputing that. Because even when you don't intend to kill somebody and you use a deadly weapon, you will still be charged with murder. But I'm not sure why he would ask, is the kid okay in the end? I don't know. So, I don't know. I mean, you're saying intent. That's going to be hard to prove. Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, you stab somebody in the chest, they're probably going to die. And so that's, you're going to get that book thrown at you, and you probably are not going to win that case. I'm sorry. So there you go. He took the knife out to shave the victim. Yeah. So anyway, I still say that he's probably going to be found guilty on this based on egging him on. Touch me and see what happens. Okay, punch me and see what happens. So he's going to use the knife. You're not going to be able to claim self-defense that. I just don't believe so. So there you go. All right, that's it. It's been a fun day, and that case in particular has been crazy to me. I will have the aggregator in the links today. Here's this real quick. Hang on a second. Yeah, so tomorrow, FTG Thursday, I'm going to try to have some FTGs ready for tomorrow because it worked out last week and I just forgot to say them. But there's plenty of stuff to talk about. But anyway, here are today's links. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. That's it. I got to go. My name is PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here. Bye. Bye. See ya. Hey, this is PDawgKnight, and thanks for watching today on the PDawgKnight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cashapp, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here. Yeah, boy!